Today on Rappler, Cambodian officials slammed the World Health Organization for causing unnecessary panic for what it says is an unidentified disease. A former commander of U.S. Special Forces in the Philippines denies reports drones were used to try to kill an Indonesian terrorist in Mindanao. And the Supreme Court stops a fixed salary scheme for bus operators. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Jaja Padilla, the partner of the Philippines' King of Comedy, says Dolphy, 83, dies Tuesday night, July 10th. Dolphy starred in more than 200 films in his 66-year career, starting with a 1946 movie at 19 years old with Fernando Poe Sr., Dugo at Bayan. The 80s generation would remember him as John Puruntong of John and Marcia, probably the most successful local comedy series in the history of Philippine TV. Today's generation saw him in various other roles: an actor, a family man, an endorser of products, and politicians. At one point, when he was being egged to run for president, he told reporters in his characteristic self-deprecating humor, "What if I win?" Among the many roles he effectively portrayed, Dolphy was known for his notable portrayal of gay roles, whether comedy or drama. His last film was Father Jejemon in 2010. Rappler extends its condolences to his family. Cambodian officials slammed the World Health Organization for creating unnecessary panic over an unidentified disease that has killed more than 60 children. Dr. Beat Richner of the Kanta Bofa Children's Hospital in Phnom Penh says the WHO broke the news of a mystery killer disease without being clear on the facts. He says the WHO declaration was neither professional nor necessary and caused panic for nothing. Richner says only 34 cases of those with the unidentified disease were hospitalized. A report by the World Health Organization says the enterovirus 71 was discovered in samples from patients with the illness. It is associated with the deadly form of the hand, foot, and mouth disease. WHO says identification of the strain is an important first step, but stresses more tests are needed to learn if the children who died also suffered from other viruses. The Cambodian Health Ministry says at least 52 children aged 3 months to 11 years died from the undiagnosed syndrome since mid-April. Philippine Health Secretary Enrique Ona tells the Bureau of Quarantine to increase the scrutiny of travelers arriving from Cambodia. The former commander of the U.S. Special Forces in the Philippines, David Maxwell, tells Rappler the New York Times got it wrong. Maxwell was reacting to a story accusing U.S. forces under his command of using, quote, a barrage of Hellfire missiles from a Predator in 2006 to try to kill Indonesian terrorist Umar Patek in the Philippines. The head of Joint Special Operations Task Force Philippines from 2001 to 2007, Maxwell says, quote, in all my time in the Philippines, there have been no Hellfire missiles, let alone a barrage of Hellfire missiles. He says the people making the allegations are either misinformed, misguided, or misspeaking. The Army colonel adds he certainly does not know what he is talking about when it comes to operations in the Philippines. The July 6, 2012 New York Times article, The Drone Zone, claims the Philippines is among the countries in the world where the U.S. conducted lethal drone operations, a charge denied by U.S. military officers, Filipino intelligence officials, and the armed forces of the Philippines. The Philippines is neither Afghanistan nor Iraq. The Special Operations Forces operating there understand and respect the sovereignty of the Philippines. The Philippine Constitution forbids foreign military forces from fighting on Filipino territory. In an exclusive in March 2012, Rappler reported that the first U.S. smart bombs arrived in the Philippines in November of 2010. The Supreme Court issues an order stopping the Labor Department and the Vehicle Regulating Agency from implementing a new salary scheme for bus operators. The salary scheme includes a minimum regular salary, commission, and benefits such as 12 regular holidays with pay, 1 rest day a week, overtime pay, night shift pay, and 13th month pay. The bus operators say the new salary scheme violates the Equal Protection Clause because it will, quote, cover only Metro Manila buses and not the entire country. They also argue their collective bargaining agreements with their employees will be affected. The Supreme Court orders the Labor Department and the Transportation Regulation Board to file their comments within 10 days. Mining companies laud a new executive order that highlights the need to increase government share in industry revenues. In a statement, the Chamber of Mines of the Philippines says EO 79, announced Monday, expresses the government's desire to establish a stable business environment. The Chamber lauds the EO's provisions on small-scale mining, operating permits, and consistency of local ordinances with national laws. The Chamber supports the policy's intent to improve the small-scale mining industry by limiting operations to areas declared as people's small-scale mining areas or minahang bayan. Mining companies also praised the government's position recognizing existing operating permits. How can bitter election rivals President Benigno Aquino III and defeated presidential candidate Senator Manuel Villar Jr. agree to join forces in the 2013 elections? Well, the first reason, both President Aquino's Liberal Party and Villar's Nacionalista Party cannot fill up a full senatorial slate for 2013. 2. President Aquino needs NP, the Nacionalista Party, to vote in favor of his priority bills. And 3. NP senatorial candidates can save money by joining administration sorties. LP stalwart and Budget Secretary Florencio Abad explains, quote, "We concede that we cannot fill up a full slate. At the end of the vetting process, we may have 4 to 5 legitimate LP members in the slate." NP spokesperson Cavite Representative Boying Remulla says they're caught in the same situation. He says we can certainly put up a slate, but will it be a winning slate? Read the full story by Rappler's Carmela Fonbuena, Why Aquino, Villar Need Each Other. China's Navy begins its annual military exercises off its east coast in the middle of tensions with neighboring countries over maritime territorial claims. The Chinese ministry says the Navy holds exercise activities near the Zhoushan Islands in the East China Sea. The newspaper China Daily says live-fire naval exercises start Tuesday and will last for 6 days. It adds exercises will not be held in waters also claimed by another country. China is locked in tense disputes with Vietnam and the Philippines in the South China Sea. Taiwan, Brunei, and Malaysia also claim the disputed islands. 2 United Nations experts urge the government to address the rising number of threats against human rights workers in the Philippines. A number of cases have been reported, mostly in eastern Visayas and Mindanao, among them the killing of a priest in Mindanao. UN experts say environmental issues such as anti-mining campaigns and land disputes tend to be sensitive. Workers defending the rights of local communities often deal with violence. The UN experts singled out the case of Francisco Canayong, stabbed in eastern Visayas on May 1. The report says authorities were alerted of death threats against him weeks before the killing. UN experts say many of the death threats appear to be the work of non-state actors. This includes paramilitary groups, death squads, and corporate security guards. The UN urges the government to fulfill its obligation to protect the right to life. Rights groups hail Singapore's decision to ease mandatory death sentences for homicide and drug trafficking, but urge the government to go further and totally abolish capital punishment. Under the new laws, inmates on death row also have the chance to ask for their sentences to be commuted to life imprisonment. The law comes into effect later this year. Amnesty International and the Singapore Anti-Death Penalty Campaign call for the complete abolition of the death penalty. The human rights group says there is no evidence to demonstrate that the death penalty deters crime more effectively than other punishments. Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 2, the University Athletic Association of the Philippines, or UAAP, Season 75 begins Saturday, July 14th. Athletes, coaches, and fans say they're excited about this season. For the first time, most basketball games will be held at the Mall of Asia Arena. Rappler will be there to bring you the best of UAAP Season 75 and NCAA Season 88. At number 5, oil revenues, the main economic lifeline of Iran, is severely threatened by the sanctions of the European Union and the United States. The West is pressuring Iran to stop its nuclear program as months-long and high-level negotiations continue. The sanctions dampen Iranian oil production output to only 3.2 million barrels in June, the lowest since 1992. At number 8, A foundation created by Nobel Literature winner Gabriel Garcia Marquez refutes claims that the author is suffering from dementia. New Journalism Foundation Director Jaime Abello says on Twitter there is no medical diagnosis of senile dementia. He adds, Garcia Marquez is not insane, he's just an elderly person who has lost a bit of memory. Garcia Marquez's brother told a Mexican newspaper last week that the author is suffering from senile dementia. He says the condition runs in their family. The 85-year-old author is also diagnosed with lymphatic cancer. And at number 10, the historic apartment in the Watergate complex, the same place where a 1972 break-in led to the Watergate scandal, sells for a record $3.1 million. Watergate triggered the downfall of U.S. President Richard Nixon in the 1970s. A tech entrepreneur buys the 345-square-meter, three-bedroom unit overlooking the Potomac River. The price is the highest ever paid for a co-op apartment in the Watergate. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Well, that ends the Rappler newscast for tonight. Rappler's condolences go to the family of Dolphy. That's it. Tuesday, July 10th, 2012. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.
Okay, para ilagay mo sa katawan mo. Iilan na artistang may karisma na kahit hindi kaganda ang lalaki, hindi ka kaganda ang babae, pero pag tumayo ka ron, talaga lahat sa'yo nakatulala sa'yo.
This song dedicated to you. This song's dedicated to you. This song's dedicated to you. Ulong-sulong ka, bakit ka ganyan? Ulong-sulong ka.
See, a Dolphy parang sacred icon, unlike action stars or melodramatic stars na you have them in seasons, but Dolphy for the past couple of decades, he's really the king of comedy.
Whatever phase of life he's in, people tend to take a general interest in what he's doing because without realizing it, he actually reflects us in so many ways.
Si Tito Dolphy yung tipong pag merong maraming tao, dumaan si Tito Dolphy, di ba usually mamab yun? Ang respeto ng tao, mahati yun. Pag naglalakad siya. O, parang siya si Moises, di ba?
Ababang walang hang ito ah. Ambisyosong masyado. Liligaw-ligaw sa ano kay kitangit-tangit mukhang tuko. Hoy, ayokong malahiyan kami niyan katulad ng mukha mo. Mukhang tuko. Pwede ba? Umalis-alis ka na. Doon ka sa puno at tutututuko.
Aling Menang, talagang ganyan ang gulong ng tricycle.
When Dolphy came in, what he offered was a genuine, humanized kind of comedic figure.
Kasi Tito Dolphy, lagi ang role niya mahirap. Pero si Tito Dolphy, alam natin mayaman. Pero hindi niya pinapakita yun, na mayaman talaga ako. Hindi siya showy, na mayaman ako. Kung ano yung character ko, na mahirap ako. Puruntong nga, di ba? Sandong puti, di ba?
Kay Dolphy is always a kind of innocence. You get to know the humanity in disenfranchised comedic subjects.
It's what he brings to the drawing board, the sincerity, the truth, that makes us react to him. He made us think at the same time that we laugh. Because he's our everyman, the forever struggling, the one who will be even if the odds are always against him. That's why people would always root for him. Because I will be. The odds are against me, I will be.